सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामया, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ओम शांति शांति शांति। All the respected principals, the director, principals, faculty members, and dear friends, it's a great pleasure meeting you this afternoon, though not actually but virtually. But I have gone to your institution many times. Maybe you were not there, the students were not there, but some of the faculty members may be there. So I have gone there to your institution many times during these 25 years. So at the outset, I would like to congratulate Tulani Motwani Institute of Management Studies for completing 25 years of great service to Kutch region in particular, and Gujarat and India in general, and towards the management studies in general. And I'm very happy to know that during this successful completion of 25 years, during this Silver Jubilee celebration, a lot of programs have been envisaged throughout the year. I wish all the programs a great success, the programs that are going to follow after this program. As far as today is concerned, the topic that has been given is the fourth wave of management and leadership. Now, all of you know, those who are in touch with the management philosophy and management studies, is that the first wave of management was the British style of management. When work measurement was in vogue, Taylor's method of work measurement was very popular. And that is how in the initial stages, the British style of management became very popular. The second wave of management was the American style of management, when Peter Drucker became the guru of all. The third wave of management was the Japanese style of management, when TQM, total quality management, was very popular, zero defect was very popular. And now, slowly but steadily, the fourth wave of management is sweeping not in India, much more so in other countries. And what is that wave? That wave is the fourth wave of management. It is the holistic style of management based on Indian ethos. There is a periodical, as you know, Newsweek, being brought out by New York. That Newsweek magazine gave it a very different type of term. They call it karma capitalism. This karma capitalism, nothing but this new name of this Indian ethos or the holistic style of management. Now, the question arises, why this fourth wave of management is coming and why it is becoming popular? There are many reasons. Number one, globalization. Whether we want it or not, globalization already come, at least on economic front. The liberalization has come. Because of the advancement in communication technology, the world has been united as never before. It is a global village. The whole world is one now. And more importantly, this liberalization has come on economic front. So it is an open economy. There's a lot of tough competition. So because of this, now you have to move very fast. You have to have a very keen competition, a spirit of keen competition. And you cannot afford to lag behind. Darwin's theory was the survival of the fittest. But Alvin Toffler says, no, in the modern age, survival of the fastest. the institution which will go fast, the fastest will survive. Because everything is moving at high speed. And because of liberalization, your competitor comes to know of your policies, your secrets, state secrets in a moment. So you have to have a different type of capacity. You have to plan in advance. And that is why the Amsterdam-based management expert Emma Thiessen says, the old theories of management will not now do. Unfortunately, we are going ahead with the old management theories, but we will have to discard them. In the modern quantum mechanics, the modern science has undergone tremendous transformation. Everywhere, tremendous transformations have come. There's a lot of changes that is coming out, sweeping all over the world, but the management theories have more or less remained static. And that is why we are lagging behind. And so, if we have to keep pace with the world, with the advancement of the modern quantum mechanics, with the advancement of the new theories and the new things that are coming, because of the globalization and the other forces that are coming into play, we will have to have separate strategies. And we must have a paradigm shift, and we must adopt the holistic paradigm. And if we do not accept the holistic paradigm, and if we do not go for paradigm shift, we will have to be ready for paradigm paralysis. Paradigm paralysis, that is what we will have to face if we do not have a paradigm shift. So we must have intuitive faculty. The old faculties will not do. This intuitive faculty will come from meditation, and that will come from Indian ethos. Moreover, stress management has become a very, very important topic. According to Chicago-based Research Corporation, 40% of the companies in America are now having regular courses on stress management for their employees, because it has come in a big way. Everybody is under stress, under the modern conditions of the society. Everybody is facing some type of the stress. Now, of course, due to this coronavirus pandemic, it has gone much more. But even then, otherwise, even before the onset of this pandemic, there was a lot of stress due to various reasons. Now, one more reason has been added, and that is pandemic. But otherwise also, a lot of types of stresses that all the people were facing. And when we are talking about stress management, the Western models of stress management are not successful on the long run. In the short run, yes, but in the long run, they are not successful. For example, the Western psychologists, they advise, you have got stress. Why it comes stress? And why do you get strain? And why do you get BP high? And why do you get all these physiological problems? That is all due to mental stress. And why this stress is coming? Because when you do not express your feelings, then the stress comes. So you must express your feelings. My God, if I express my feelings, I will lose my job. What to do? For example, the boss was coming out of his home, and that time his wife gave a nice thrashing. Now he could not tell anything to his wife, because if she goes away, then who will cook? So he pockets that insult. And when he comes to the office, he goes on firing his subordinates right and left without any justification. And now this subordinate also wants to pay back in the same coin. He knows also how to pay back in the same coin. But if he pays back in the same coin, he will lose his job. So what does he do? He pockets that insult. And that insult goes into the subconscious mind and creates a stress, creates strain, and later on, all types of physiological problems. So the modern psychologists say, you must express your feelings. My God, if I express my feelings, I will lose my job. Then the Western psychology, okay, we have find out a solution. What is that? Go to the market and purchase voodoo dolls. Voodoo dolls are available along with the pins, head diaries, punching bags. Bring them home. Close the doors and windows of your room. Put the voodoo doll on your table. And now write down the name of your boss or your mother-in-law or your wife, whomsoever you want to put stress out. And now go on pinching. There are 3 types of pins available. Blue pins for injuring, black pins for serious injury, and there are red pins also available. If you if you pinch a red pin, the boss is murdered. The boss is murdered instantly. And you can have a nice sleep without any tranquilizer. But unfortunately, you had a nice sleep last night, but next day morning again you go to the office and the boss is sitting on the chair. What to do? So these methods, short-term methods, are not working of stress management. That is why they are coming to meditation and yoga for long-term solutions to the problems of stress management. Another thing is the 5th M has become very important. You know, management is what? Management of 4 M's, isn't it? Management of money, financial management. Management of materials, that is materials management. Management of machines, that is production planning and control. And management of man, that is personal management, what we now we call it HRD, human resource development. Of course, isn't it? These are the 4 methods. These are the 4 M's. This is management. But now the 5th M is becoming very important. What is that? Management of mind. That is becoming very important. When you see, when we are talking about management of man, we are talking about the other man, not yourself. But this is management of your own mind. How to control anger. Many students, they ask me whenever I go to schools, colleges, many students have got this problem. How to control anger. How to control emotions. So all these things are coming because we don't have control over mind. So this control over mind is very important. Management of the mind is very important. Not only that, if we want success, if we want to have quick success, and if we want to keep up pace with the outside world, then we have to have extraordinary mind. How it will come? Ralph Waldo Emerson, he said, the secret of success in trade, in war, in every management of human affairs is the concentration of mind. Whether in music, in studies, in sports, in every sphere, the secret of success is concentration of mind. And that is why Swami Vivekananda said, if I had to do my education over again, I will not undergo the present system of education. First, I will learn how to control my mind, how to concentrate my mind. Information I can have at my own wish, at my own will. So concentration is the key. That will come from control of mind. If you have controlled mind, you will have better concentration. Now, how can you control the mind? If the mind is become purer, it is easier to control the mind. So the gist of the whole thing is you must purify your mind. How to purify my mind? Ahar shuddhau sattva shuddhi sattva shuddhau dhruvashmitihi. If your intake is pure, the mind will become pure. If your intake is impure, your mind will become pure. So we have to remember 3 monkeys of Gandhiji. Don't look at evil, don't listen to evil, don't speak evil. But we must also remember 3 monkeys of Switzerland. You know, one of our monks, one of our Swamijis, many years back I'm talking about, He had gone to Switzerland for preaching Vedanta. By the side of a lake, he saw an image of 3 monkeys, but strange monkeys. He had so far seen 3 monkeys, with one monkey having 2 eyes closed, second monkey 2 ears closed, third monkey mouth closed. But here he saw in Switzerland different type of monkeys. One monkey having 1 eye closed, 1 open. Second monkey 1 ear closed, 1 open. And third monkey half mouth closed, half open. He was bewildered. What is this? I never saw these types of images, this type of monkeys. What do these monkeys want to convey? There we know that those monkeys, they convey, don't look at evil, don't listen to evil, don't speak evil. But what are these 3 monkeys trying to convey? He thought over that for a long time, and then he remembered a shloka from the Vedas, and he got the meaning. What was the shloka? The shloka was, Bhadram karnebhi shunuyam devah, Bhadram pashe makshabhir jatrah, Stirairangai stustuvagam sastanubihi, Vyashema deva hitayyadayuhu, Swastina indro vriddhashava, Swastina pusha vishwaveda, Swastina staksho arishtanemi, Swastino brihaspati dadhatu, Bhadram karnebhi shunuyam devah. Listen to auspicious things. 1 ear is closed. Don't listen to inauspicious things. But 1 ear is open, but listen to auspicious things. Bhadram pashe makshabhirjatraha. 1 eye is closed. Don't look at evil. But 1 eye is open, but look at good things. Look at auspicious things. One half mouth is closed. Don't criticize others. But half mouth is open. But have a word of appreciation for others. So if we start taking pure food from our senses and stop taking impure food from the senses, what happens? Our mind becomes gradually pure. And the purer the mind, the greater it is possible, the greater is the possibility of controlling it. And the greater the mind is controlled, the better will be the concentration, the power of concentration. And the greater is the power of concentration, the greater will be success in every sphere of life. And we will be able to have, now time management is becoming important. What we want, we want more than 24 hours. Can we have it? Yes, have it. How? If one work can be done, a work can be performed instead of 4 hours, if you can do it in 1 hour, yes, then you have got 3 hours extra for you. So you got 27 hours. If I can teach you a technique, if I can teach you a technique by which your study will be completed, instead of 4 hours, it will be completed in 1 hour, same study, with the same this. What happens? You get 3 hours extra. So you get 27 hours. This is the only way you can have time management. That is how? By increasing concentration of mind. So management of mind means not only stress management, but also management is also improving your concentration of mind, improving your efficiency, improving your proficiency. And another thing is calmness. Swami Vivekananda says, the calmer we are, the less disturbed our nerves, the more shall we love, the better will our work be. The calmer we are, the less disturbed our nerves, the more shall we love, and the better will our work be. So our work will become, our performance will be much better, and where our nerves are cool, when we have got calm mind. At that time, we will be able to perform, give much better performance. And if you want zero defect, then we have to follow the teaching of Bhagavad Gita. Buddhi yukto jahatiha ubhe sukrit dushrute tasmat yogaya yujyasva yoga karmasu kaushalam. Dexterity in action is yoga. Efficiency, super efficiency. And that will come by the proper attitude of mind, proper training of the mind. And so management of mind will give not only proficiency in work, not only zero defect, not only the concentration of mind giving rise to success in every sphere of life, also stress management, making your mind calm, making you capable of meeting lot of stresses, lot of crises, lot of problems that are part and parcel of life. Swami Vivekananda asked this question by the Maharaja of Khetri, Ajit Singh Ji, who was his disciple. Swamiji, what is life? Swamiji immediately replied, my dear prince, life is nothing but the struggle of a being under the circumstances trying to press it down. Struggle, life itself is struggle. Problems will be always there. And if there is a human being, there will be a problem. Where if there is a living being, there is problem. When there is dead body, no problem for dead body. Do you want to be dead or alive? If you are alive, you will have to have problems and solve the problems and become great. So many students, they come to me and say, why I have got so many problems in my life? Of all the people, I have got so many problems. Then I ask, hey, suno to bhaiya, what do you want? You want to become ordinary or extraordinary? I want to become extraordinary. Okay, now listen to the formula. If you want to become extraordinary, you will have to undergo extraordinary struggle. If you want to become ordinary, you will have to undergo ordinary struggle. Now you decide. So Swami Vivekananda says, the greater the struggle, the greater the person who comes out of it. But you must come out of it. The greater the struggle, the greater the person who comes out of it. So be prepared to face the struggle. And the greater the struggle, the greater the person who comes out of it. If you want to become extraordinary, you must face extraordinary struggle. So when there is extraordinary struggle in life, you must remember, God wants you to make you extraordinary. But face it boldly and come out of it and you become extraordinary. Otherwise, remain ordinary, no problem. If you become dead person, absolutely no problem. But if you are living, there is problem. If you want to become great, more problem. If you want to make extraordinary, extraordinary problem. It's your choice is yours. If you go through an ordinary examination, you will get ordinary certificate. And if you go through a very difficult examination, you will get very good certificate. Choice is yours. So this management of mind is very important. Another thing, why this fourth way of management is coming, why this karma capital is coming, is this: the 21st century is the century of knowledge workers. Now, olden times, it was mostly blue-collar jobs, very few white-collar jobs. Now it is reversed the trend because of the mechanization, because of the automation, because of the artificial intelligence, AI, and all that. Now, most of the jobs are white-collar jobs. Blue-collar jobs are not at all there. They have been taken over by the computers and the robots. With the result, now you have to control not the blue-collar jobs. You have to control the people with white-collar jobs. They are all very learned, more learned sometimes than you in certain fields. How do you control the knowledgeable people? Very difficult. So Peter Drucker says in his book, Managing the New Millennium, he says, the managers and executives from now onwards are going to become more and more ineffectual whatsoever with their subordinates. This is what he says. This is exactly happening. Everybody knows it. Wherever you are. If you are a principal, also you know. If you are a CEO, you know. If you are a chief executive, you know that. What is that? Managers and executives from now onwards are going to become more and more ineffectual with no authority whatsoever over their subordinates. This is what has happened. Why? Because it is a century of knowledge workers. And that is why a new wave of leadership is coming. The fourth wave of leadership. What is that leadership? That leadership based on Indian ethos, though the credit goes to somebody else, that doesn't matter. What is that leadership? The leadership that is now becoming prominent, that is now becoming popular all over the world, is servant leadership. Robert Greenleaf he wrote a book on servant leadership in 1976. And he gave a lot of examples how many companies, by following the principle of servant leadership, not only survived, but thrived. But somehow or the other, it was not given importance. But lately, from last 20 years, servant leadership is becoming now important. Why? Because as I told you now, it is the century of knowledge workers. You will not be able to control your subordinates in the way in which you are controlling other place, other times. And so now, this servant leadership. What is servant leadership? Servant leadership is not leading in the usual way by hire and fire method. Servant leadership is leading by example. Servant leadership means you demonstrate by sacrificing yourself. So Swami Vivekananda used to say, who can be a true leader? Who can be a real leader? Who can be a successful leader? Sirdar, wahi Sardar. Sardar means leader. Who can be a true Sardar, leader? Sirdar, जो सिर दे सकता है, वही सरदार बन सकता है. तो सिर देने का मतलब क्या है? गला कट के दे देना? No. Cutting of the head? No. What is Sirdar? Sirdar means one who can bow down to others, sacrificing your ego, becoming humble. I saw this in Dr. Kalam. Such a great personality, but so humble. No ego at all. So humble. So many examples I can quote for you. And in fact, he practiced that servant leadership. And he also said that he got the inspiration of the servant leadership from how he leaked out that secret. As you know, on 26 January 2001, there was a big earthquake in Gujarat. Even in Adipur also, Tolani Institute also, many institutions were shattered, they were destroyed. And there was a lot of damage, as you know. So anyway, as is the tradition of Ramakrishna Mission, immediately we swung into action and we started relief work. And we started collecting donation. We collected 20 crores of rupees. And first with 3 crores of rupees, we carried out primary relief work. And then we carried out rehabilitation project, earthquake rehabilitation project. And as a part of that project, we constructed 81 school buildings in the whole of Gujarat, out of which 37 school buildings we had constructed in Porbandar, and 6 colonies, out of which 3 colonies were constructed in Porbandar. And one of these schools was inaugurated by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the reconstructed school. On 13th February 2002, we had invited him. There were 3,000 youths. And after inaugurating the school, he had a lot of very nice interaction with the students in Porbandar. And then the students asked, sir, what is the source of your inspiration? And Dr. Kalam said, normally I do not leak out this secret, but this is the right place to leak out this secret. And then he said, I was in 8th class. I was the monitor of my school. And my headmaster called me. He said, tonight, bring all the students to the school and let them listen to running commentary on radio. No TV at that time, 15th August 1947, India will become independence, and let the students listen to the running commentary. So Dr. Kalam said, I brought all the students. We listened to the running commentary. Everything was in Hindi. We didn't know Hindi. We didn't know English. We knew only Tamil. But anyway, we were very happy that India has become independent. Then Dr. Kalam said, next day in the newspapers, on the front page, I saw 2 photographs. First photograph, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru hoisting the Indian flag on Red Fort. And I was very happy to see that photograph. By the side was the second photograph. And that second photograph was my primary education, was my secondary education, was my college education, and was my life education. And what was that? What was that photograph? That photograph, it was shown that when the whole country was rejoicing because of the independence, the person who sacrificed maximum, the person who dreamt about this freedom, the person who steered the whole movement, non-cooperation movement, that person was not rejoicing. What he was doing? He was walking barefooted in the streets of Calcutta, wiping the tears of the people who were affected by Nawakoli riots. Mahatma Gandhi. Dr. Kalam said, I was very much moved by seeing this photograph. I thought, here is the nobility of leadership. If he wanted, he could have become the Prime Minister of India. But he did not accept any power or position. Not only that, he was not rejoicing. Even after independence, he was wiping the tears of the poor people, the affected people. That is leadership. When you receive the award, you are go back. When sacrifice, you go in front. Unlike the modern leaders, for receiving the award, in front. For sacrifice, back. No. That is servant leadership. When making sacrifice, you are in front. When getting the award or reward or getting the credit, you go back. And he showed this. Dr. Kalam showed this in his own life. And he learned it from others also, not only Mahatma Gandhi, from others. And he showed it in his own life. Of course, in our Indian spiritual culture, there are plenty examples of this servant leadership. 5,000 years back, Sri Krishna, the kingmaker, he became an ordinary charioteer of Arjuna. Ordinary charioteer. That is Indian, that is servant leadership. And Swami Vivekananda, he used to tell that one who can be a good true leader, one who can be a servant of the servant of the servant can be a true leader. One who can be humble, who can sacrifice his ego, one who can sacrifice his selfishness, one who can lead by example, he can be a true leader. And he showed this by one example. When he went to America and other countries, he worked very hard and got little money. After giving so many lectures, he got little money. He brought it. As soon as he came back, he handed over the whole money to his brother disciple, Swami Brahmananji. Not only that, he started an institution, not in his name, in the name of his guru, Ramakrishna Mission. And he did not become the first president of Ramakrishna Mission. No. He made his brother disciple, Swami Brahmananji, the first president. He stepped back. And he said, if my brother disciple says, I will be very happy to clean the latrines all my life in this Belur Math. Look at that servant leadership. And because he practiced this servant leadership, what happened? In 1902, at the age of 39 years, when he passed away, there were only 5 centers in the world. 1 in New York, 4 centers in India. And today in Ramakrishna Mission, normally what happens when a leader dies, the institution gradually dies after some time or survives on oxygen. But here what has happened? After the leader has left in 1902, the institution is growing, not only in quantity, not only in magnitude, not only in extensity, but also in intensity. And today we have 222 branch centers all over the world, 50 abroad, rest in India. And apart from that, 1,000 non-affiliated centers which are run by our devotees and friends, which are not yet affiliated to Ramakrishna Mission because we have shortage of monks. So we tell the household disciples, you start the work, we are with you, and you are in your own way. There is a center, you must be aware, there is a center in Adipur also, Ramakrishna Seva Kendra. There's a beautiful temple and some good activities going on there. But they are run by our devotees. That is not an official center of Ramakrishna Mission. Of course, they are trying to get it affiliated, but very difficult to get affiliation because we have shortage of monks. Still every year, 5-6 centers that get affiliated. And this is now from 5, it has come to 222. They are officially branch centers of Ramakrishna Mission managed by the monks of Ramakrishna Mission. Apart from 1,000 non-affiliated centers. How this expansion has come? Because Swami Vivekananda, he practiced this servant leadership. So this servant leadership is the new concept, and because it is basically rooted in India, that the 4th way of management is coming. Now, CSR, corporate social responsibilities, become very important. if the world has to survive, it must implement CSR. Do you know what is happening? Now, 1% of the people are having 90% of the wealth of the whole world. Can you imagine? On the one hand, 30% of the people do not get 2 meals a day. They are so poor. On the other hand, 10% of the people are suffering from affluenza, not influenza. This is Oxford Dictionary has added one more word, that is affluenza. In America, the parents have started affluenza resistant society. What is this affluenza? Affluenza comes to the affluent people. They are too much rich. And because of the affluenza, they are suffering from Nugent neurosis and drug addiction and suicide and all that. And that is why, so on one hand, some people are suffering from affluenza. On the other hand, some people are suffering from acute poverty. How this can be avoided? Beautiful concept of CSR. That is, when those people who are earning a lot of profits, at least 10% of that profit goes to remove the poverty of the people, then in that case, what will happen? In that case, when this poverty of the people will be removed on one hand, because of the that percentage that goes from the profit, and here on one hand, these people will get peace of mind. It's a double benefit, this CSR. Of course, but this is rooted in the trusteeship management principle of India. And this is rooted in a shloka from the Ishavasya Upanishad. Ishavasya sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena taktena bhunjitha ma gridakasya siddhanam. The whole world is permeated by one supreme consciousness. So what we should do? We are all one. And since there is unity of existence, I cannot survive without you. If you are happy, I cannot be happy. If you are unhappy, I cannot be happy. This Vedanta principle says, because of the unity of existence, if you are a CEO of a multinational company, okay, and you are on the 7th floor of a multi-story building, and with Dunlopin and all that, you cannot get sleep. You cannot. With best food and best furniture and best house. Why? If you have exploited the workers and those workers are there sleeping on the footpath and they are not having food and now they are not having sleep, you cannot have sleep. Simple mathematics. This is unity of existence. The simple law of karma. If you have exploited some people and because of that they are not having sleep, they are having lack of sleep, you also cannot have sleep. Simple law of action. That is because unity of existence. So, Ishavasya midam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena taktena bhunjitha ma gridakasya siddhanam. So, do not covet others' wealth. Enjoy. How? By sacrifice. What we have to sacrifice? We have to not sacrifice we don't have to sacrifice our latest model car or latest model house. No. What we have to sacrifice is our ego. What we have to sacrifice is our selfishness. That's all we have to sacrifice. So, this trusteeship management principle was taught by Swami Vivekananda in America. When he went to America, you know, in the Parliament of World's Religion, he made a historic speech on 11th September 1893. Mind you, that was also 9/11. But because we did not listen to his message of harmony of religions on 9/11, another 9/11 happened after 180 years in New York, and the Trade Center, World Trade Center, the Twin Towers, they broke down. Whatever it is, Swami Vivekananda went on to continue to give lectures there in Chicago. It is at that time in 1894 an incident happened. At that time, the richest person in the world was John D. Rockefeller, the emperor of petroleum industry. When at that time, he was going through a very bad patch and he had become so weak, he had become very thin, emaciated, all his hair had gone, he had become bald, and he was very much under stress. At that time, somebody suggested, why don't you go and take advice from Swami Vivekananda, an Indian yogi who has come to my friend's house. And he became very much agitated. He said, what? I to go to an advice, I to go to take an advice from a beggar? You know, we are all beggars, we live on charity. No, I will not go. And he did not go. But after a few days, suddenly, he went to the place where Swami Vivekananda was staying. He called the bell. The butler opened the door. Now, he went inside. Swami Vivekananda was not in his drawing room. So he went to his study room. Swami Vivekananda was so engrossed. As you know, he had tremendous power of concentration. So he was engrossed in study. So he knocked at the table. And then Swami Vivekananda looked up. Rockefeller said, I am Rockefeller. Then Swami Vivekananda asked, what do you want? Now, Rockefeller was not prepared for this type of treatment, because Rockefeller means the president of America would get up, and here is the beggar sitting down and asking me, what do you want? He said, I don't want anything. Then Swami Vivekananda said, what do you want? Why have you come? Now he had no answer. Then Swami Vivekananda said, I know Rockefeller, why you have come. You come here because you do not have peace of mind. And then he started narrating many incidents from the life of Rockefeller, which no one else knew except Rockefeller. And then he became excited. Who has told all these things to you? Swami Vivekananda smiled and said, do you think it is necessary? I can see through your mind as I can see through a glass almirah. And then he was very much perturbed. My God, he has come to know all my secrets. And then Swami Vivekananda said, my dear Rockefeller, I will give you a piece of advice. Remember, you are not the owner of your wealth. You are a custodian of your wealth. Utilize this money for removing the sufferings of millions of people. Immediately you will get peace of mind. There is no other way by which you can get peace of mind. And Rockefeller was very much annoyed. How dare you talk to me like that? And then he left abruptly and abruptly had come. But after a few days again he came. Called the bell, the butler opened the door. He went inside. Swamiji was not in his drawing room. So he went to study room. Swamiji was fully engrossed. Again he knocked at the table and Swamiji looked up. And then Rockefeller put a piece of paper on his table in which he had made an announcement of a very huge donation for a public cause. And when Swami Vivekananda read it, he said, now you must thank me. I have followed your advice. Swami Vivekananda said, well, it is for you to thank me. Because by following my advice, you will get peace of mind which cannot be purchased by millions of dollars. That was a very huge donation for a public cause that Rockefeller had done. Afterwards, as you know, but that was in 1894. Afterwards, as you know, in 1913, he went on to make Rockefeller Foundation, out of which a lot of research were made. David Borlaug made a research and found out a drought-resistant wheat which saved the millions of people from starvation. So many research have been done through Rockefeller Foundation. But the inspiration came from Swami Vivekananda. And he gave them the idea of trusteeship management. So trusteeship management is very, very relevant today. And the roots of trusteeship management are there in the Upanishads. And now this trusteeship management is coming in the form of CSR, corporate social responsibility. And that is why the fourth wave of management, Indian ethos, holistic style of management based on Indian ethos, is becoming very popular. Last point, we are coming to the end. Last point is, now SQ is becoming very important. Dana Zohar, she is a professor in Oxford University. She has written a book. The name of the book is SQ, Spiritual Intelligence, the Ultimate Intelligence, where she says neurologically, physiologically, biologically, psychologically, from every point of view, there is a concluding evidence. There is something called SQ, which is the basis of both IQ and EQ. What is IQ? Intelligence quotient. IQ will tell you how to play the game of life. What is EQ? Emotional quotient, emotional intelligence. EQ will tell you how to play the game of life under changed circumstances with changed strategies. And what is SQ? SQ will tell you why to play the game of life. What is the purpose of life? Why we are here on this earth? What do we want to achieve before we die? That is SQ, the purpose of life. And now this SQ is becoming very important. So in every sphere of life. And how to develop this SQ? Modern science has found out neurologically, biologically, physiologically, psychologically, there is evidence of SQ. But how to develop that SQ? For that, they have to come to Indian ethos. And here we get an answer. Dana Zohar says, Swami Vivekananda Vivekananda is a rare saint who practices servant leadership and who has got this high SQ and who knows how to develop this SQ and who has given the technique for developing SQ. How to develop this SQ? Swami Vivekananda says in his book on Raj Yoga, the gist of whole of Vedanta, that gives us the clue how to develop SQ. What does he say? Each soul is potentially divine. The goal of human life is to manifest this divinity within by controlling nature external and internal. Do this either by work or worship or psychic control or philosophy, by one or more or all of these, and be free. This is the whole of religion. Doctrines, dogmas, rituals, worships, temples, churches, mosques are but secondaries. So this is the gist of the whole thing. How to manifest the divinity? By controlling nature external and internal. How to do that? 4 methods. Raj Yoga, meditation; Bhakti Yoga, prayer; Gyan Yoga, inspirational reading; and Karma Yoga, unselfish service. If we combine all the 4 yogas, practice these 4 yogas in daily life, gradually we will be able to develop SQ. Once SQ is developed, you will be able to have the spiritual quotient. When it comes, we will come to know what is the purpose of life. Once we come to know the basic purpose of life, once we come to know the basics of life, then we will be able to have IQ and EQ in a much better way, which will be beneficial to us also. And then through that SQ, we'll be able to control our emotions, and we will be able to meet all the problems that we are having at present due to the various complexities that have come. So that is why, because of all these reasons, the 4th wave of management is becoming very important. Though it is a small wave, but gradually, it is steadily, it is advancing. And let us hope that it evades the whole world very soon, and all the people all over the world get benefited by this 4th wave, and then they get success in everyday life. They get success in controlling the mind. They get success in not only management of money, but management of ethical power of management, that the managing the money with ethical means, which is a part and parcel of this SQ, practicing SQ. And so all these things will come. Let us hope and pray that with this 4th way of management, so let us try to adopt this 4th way of management, holistic style of management based on Indian ethos, and then we will be able to get success in everyday life. We will be able to get not only success, but also happiness and peace. Long-term happiness, long-term peace, that is the need of the hour. Everybody wants happiness, but we are not getting it. Why? Because we are searching at a wrong place. We are searching at a wrong place. An old woman was weeping, and some young men said, "Hey, बुढ़िया रो क्यों रही है? क्या करूं बेटा, मेरी सुई खो गई। हाँ, तो रोती क्यों है? चल मैं खोज देता हूं। उसको भी नहीं मिली। फिर बाद में उसको ट्यूबलाइट हुई। अच्छा, कहाँ खो गई थी? बोले बेटा भीतर कमरे में खो गई थी। और तू यहाँ बरामदा में देख रही है? बेटा वहां अंधेरा है, यहाँ उजाला है, इसलिए यहाँ देख रही हूँ। देखते रहो, कभी मिलेगी नहीं। हजारों वर्षों तक नहीं मिलेगी। क्यों? है वहां कमरे में, खोज रहे इधर। दैट इज वाई वी आर नॉट गेटिंग पीस ऑफ माइंड। इसीलिए कबीर ने कहा, मोको कहाँ तू ढूंढे बंदे, मैं तो तेरे पास में, खोजोगे तभी मिलूंगा पल भर की तलाश में। अरे शाश्वत सुख, शाश्वत शांति का स्रोत हमारे भीतर में है, और हम ढूंढ रहे हैं लेटेस्ट मॉडल कार में, लेटेस्ट मॉडल मोबाइल में, लेटेस्ट मॉडल मकान में, लेटेस्ट मॉडल। तो नहीं मिलेगा। अरे रॉन्ग प्लेस में ढूंढने से कैसे मिलेगा? बुढ़िया को मिलेगा नहीं, तुम सोई नहीं मिलेगी, तुमको भी ये मिलेगा नहीं। शांति चाहिए तो अंदर जाना पड़ेगा, मेडिटेट करना पड़ेगा, प्रार्थना करनी पड़ेगी। दीज आर द मेथड्स। इसलिए I end with the beautiful example that is given. Dana Zohar ने बहुत अच्छा example दिया है। By the side of the Mexican coast, there was a management consultant from Harvard University. He was sitting there. At a distance, there was a fisherman, एक नाविक था, वो बैठ सोया हुआ था, दोपहर का टाइम था। ए, सो रहा है, मछली क्यों नहीं मार रहा है? बोले बाबूजी बात ऐसी है, सुबह से एक बहुत बड़ी मछली मिल गई, उसको बेचा तो बहुत पैसा मिल गया, तो मेरा आज का कोटा पूरा हो गया कमाने का, तो मैं आराम फरमा रहा हूं। अरे इसमें भी कोई कोटा सिस्टम है रे? अरे और मछली मारेगा तो और पैसा मिलेगा, पर पैसा का करूंगा क्या? ज्यादा पैसा मुझे चाहिए नहीं, वो ज्यादा पैसा करूंगा क्यों? डिपॉजिट करना। ये वर्ड डिपॉजिट सुना ही नहीं था। हाँ, डिपॉजिट करना, बैंक अकाउंट खोल देना, उसमें डिपॉजिट करना, फिर डिपॉजिट करते जाना, ज्यादा हो जाएगा ना तो दूसरी नाव खरीद लेना, दूसरी नाव खरीदेगा तो और पैसा मिलेगा, अरे पर और पैसे क्या करूंगा, फिर डिपॉजिट करना, फिर तीसरी नाव खरीदना। ऐसा करते 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 यू विल बिकम सीईओ ऑफ ए मल्टीनेशनल कंपनी। फिर मूव योर हेडक्वार्टर्स फ्रॉम मैक्सिको टू न्यूयॉर्क, पर फिर देन यू गो ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड, ओपन ब्रांचेस, देन naturally when you open branches you will have to move, then naturally there will be blood pressure, there will be heart failure, there will be heart attack. When there are 3 bypass surgeries or doctor says no more, अब bypass surgery नहीं हो सकती, then you retire, sell the companies, come to me, I am an investment expert from Harvard, I will tell you where to invest the money, and when you invest the money like this, every month you will get fixed income and you will be able to sleep nicely. अरे I was sleeping nicely, it is you who woke me up. आराम से सोने के लिए इतना लंबा चक्कर। डाना जोहार कहती है दिस फिशरमैन हैज गॉट लो IQ, he doesn't know how to make money. This management expert has got high IQ, he knows how to make the money, but this fisherman has got high SQ, he knows the purpose of life is to have happiness and peace, but this management expert hasn't got SQ, he doesn't know what is the purpose of life. Let us know what is the purpose of life, why we have come. Kabir says, कबीर ने कहा जब तू आया जगत में, जग हंसे तू रोए, ऐसी करने कर चलो मरते समय तुम हंसो जग रोए। ये जीवन का पर्पस है, ये हम भूल जाते हैं। दिस इज व्हाट इज SQ. विदाउट दिस SQ ऑल आवर अटेम्प्ट्स, ऑल व्हाट मैनेजमेंट फैकल्टी करो, कुछ भी करो, पैसा कमाओ, अल्टीमेटली इट इज ऑल जीरो। यदि मन में शांति नहीं मिली तो ये सब जीरो है। देखा ना कितने कितने लोग millionaires, they are committing suicide. Why? There is no peace inside. What is the use of that money if it doesn't give peace of mind? So happiness and peace यदि हमको चाहिए, you'll have to adopt the 4th way of management leadership. 4th way of management leadership, that is Indian style of management based on holistic style of management based on Indian ethos, will give you success, long-term success, long-term happiness and long-term peace. Let us strive for that. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you very much.
प्रणाम स्वामी जी। विद्यार्थियों को काफी कुछ सीखने को मिलेगा, लेकिन एक चीज और बताना चाहूंगा। स्वामी जी को हमने समय दिया था 4:05 पे आपका सेशन शुरू होगा और 5 पे 5:05 पे पूरा होगा, और एग्जैक्टली स्वामी जी ने 5 बजे 5 मिनट पे अपना व्याख्यान पूरा किया। उनका शुरू होने में थोड़ा समय ज्यादा चला गया था, लेकिन अंत तो उन्होंने उसी समय पे किया जिस समय पे स्वामी जी को बोला गया। तो जो प्रोफेशनलिज्म की बात करते हैं तो हर जगह पे दिखना चाहिए। जैसे स्वामी जी ने एक अत्यंत उदाहरण हमारे सामने प्रस्तुत किया कि कैसे निश्चित समय में जो उनको समय दिया गया है उसी समय में अपनी बहुत सारे विषय होते हैं, बहुत सारी चीजें उन्होंने अपने सामने रखी, बहुत सारे प्रश्न दिए मन में। पर प्रश्न की शुरुआत उससे पहले जैसे स्वामी जी ने उल्लेख किया था, हमारे आदिपुर कैंपस में स्वामी रामकृष्ण सेवा केंद्र है, कॉमर्स कॉलेज के पास में ही है। आप सभी विद्यार्थियों से निवेदन है, जैसे ही ये पेंडेमिक पूरा हो वहां पे जरूर जाइए। मैं भी आपके साथ चलूंगा, मैं तो जाता रहता हूँ। और वहाँ पे मंदिर के अलावा एक अच्छा पुस्तकालय है, स्वामी विवेकानंद जी की बहुत सारी अच्छी पुस्तकें भी आपको वहाँ पे जरूर मिलेगी। और स्वामी जी ने पहले भी कहा, स्वामी जी का मार्गदर्शन हमको आगे भी मिलता रहा है। बहुत बार स्वामी जी टीम्स में आ चुके हैं, जब पुराने बिल्डिंग थी, नई बिल्डिंग थी, तो हमको तो लाभ मिलता रहता है। तो इस बार सोचा कि जो नए विद्यार्थी है उनको भी स्वामी जी के जो वचन है उसका थोड़ा प्रसाद मिले, तो इसी वजह से स्वामी जी को हमने विनंती की और स्वामी जी ने सरस उसका स्वीकार भी किया। अभी विद्यार्थियों से निवेदन है, कुछ प्रश्न आए हैं मेरे प्राइवेट चैट में, बट फिर भी कोई प्रश्न है तो आप बताइए, नहीं तो जो प्राइवेट प्रश्न जो चैट में आए उसी में से मैं एक आध प्रश्न स्वामी जी को पूछूंगा, क्योंकि स्वामी जी का एक और लेक्चर भी है जैसे उन्होंने बताया था। तो जल्दी से पूछिए, तब तक मैं प्रश्न पूछ लेता हूँ जो मेरे पास आया है। स्वामी जी, जैसे ना आपने उल्लेख तो किया आपके व्याख्यान के अंत में कि बड़े बड़े लोग, पैसे वाले लोग, बहुत ही सबल जिसको हम मानते हैं वैसे लोग आत्महत्या करते हैं। पिछले कुछ महीनों में तो ये प्रमाण कुछ ज्यादा ही बढ़ गया है। सिर्फ आत्महत्या नहीं करते, हमने ये भी देखा है कि बड़े बड़े समर्थ जो क्रिकेटर, अभी IPL चल रहा है इसलिए क्रिकेटर की बात है, बड़े बड़े क्रिकेटर ने चालू जब होती है सीरीज, तो उसमें से चले जाते हैं कि वो जो प्रेशर है वो उनको नहीं वो संभल पाते। ऐसे बहुत सारे उदाहरण हैं। तो ऐसा क्यों होता है कि जिनको हम बाहर से जैसे हमको लगता है कि बहुत सफल है, नाम है, पैसे है, उसके बावजूद भी ये नहीं संभाल पाते अपने आप को स्वामी?
बहुत अच्छा प्रश्न है। तो जैसा मैंने कहा, ये टेंशन क्यों आता है? क्योंकि हम समझ नहीं पा रहे हैं कि हमारे जीवन का उद्देश्य क्या है, द पर्पस ऑफ लाइफ। हमारे जीवन का उद्देश्य सक्सेस नहीं है, हमारे जीवन का उद्देश्य पॉपुलैरिटी नहीं है। पॉपुलैरिटी आज है, कल नहीं है। कितने फिल्म एक्टर्स तो कितनी पॉपुलैरिटी होती है, फिर भी तो बात क्या है? मन में शांति, ये असली बात है। जिनके मन में शांति है वो कभी सुसाइड नहीं करेगा। कौन सुसाइड करता है? जिसमें सुख का लेवल 0% हो गया। आनंद के बिना कोई मनुष्य रह नहीं सकता। हमारे वेदांत के अनुसार प्रत्येक मनुष्य का जो स्वभाव है, सत चित आनंद, ये स्वभाव है। जब आनंद की वैल्यू, आनंद का जब 0% हो जाता है, उस समय मनुष्य फिर जिंदा नहीं रह सकता, सत नहीं रह सकता। सत कब रहता है? जब आनंद रहता है। बिना आनंद के सत नहीं रह सकता, एग्जिस्टेंस नहीं हो सकता। तो आनंद के बिना नहीं रह सकता। जब आनंद 0% हो जाएगा तो वो सुसाइड ही करेगा। तो इसलिए क्या करना पड़ेगा? आनंद, सच्चा आनंद कहाँ है, वो भीतर में जो है उसको खोजना पड़ेगा। असल में बात यह है कि हमारी यह गलतफहमी है कि हमको आनंद बाहर की वस्तुओं से मिलता है, किसी मनुष्य से मिलता है, बाह्य व्यक्तियों से मिलता है, बाह्य पदार्थों से मिलता है। यह जो हमारी भूल धारणा है उसको दूर करना पड़ेगा और हमको भीतर में जाना पड़ेगा। और हमारा जो सच्चिद आनंद जो स्वरूप है, उस स्वरूप से हमको अपना पहचान करानी पड़ेगी। तो जैसा मैंने बताया था, कबीर जी की बात है, मुझको कहाँ तू ढूंढे बंदे, मैं तो तेरे पास में, खोजोगे तभी मिलूंगा पल भर की तलाश में। तो ये क्यों हमको नहीं मिल रहा है तलाश के बाद भी? क्योंकि बीच में अज्ञान का पर्दा आ गया है। तो ये अज्ञान का पर्दा, इसीलिए कबीर ने कहा, घूंघट का पट खोल रे तो ही पिया मिलेंगे, कटुक वचन मत बोल रे तो ही पिया मिलेंगे। तुझे प्रियतम के दर्शन होंगे, ईश्वर के दर्शन होंगे। कब? घूंघट का पट खोलना पड़ेगा। ये घूंघट क्या है? अज्ञान। ये अज्ञान काहे का है? ये अज्ञान जो है हमारे अहंकार का अज्ञान है, अविद्या का अज्ञान है। ये अज्ञान का पर्दा खुलेगा तब हमको यह शाश्वत सुख और शाश्वत शांति जो हमारे भीतर में है, पहले से मौजूद है, हमको कहीं से इंपोर्ट नहीं करना है, इट इज ऑलरेडी देयर, वो हमारे सामने प्रकट हो जाएगी। तो क्या करना पड़ेगा? अज्ञान का पर्दा खोलना पड़ेगा। तो अज्ञान का पर्दा कैसे खुलेगा? जैन में बताया 4 उपाय है: ध्यान, राजयोग, प्रार्थना, भक्ति योग, ज्ञान, ज्ञान योग और निस्वार्थ सेवा, कर्म योग। ये चारों योग का हम जब पालन करेंगे, धीरे 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 हमारे अज्ञान का पर्दा जब दूर होगा, तो भीतर में सच्चित आनंद स्वरूप जो परमात्मा है वो तो पहले से है। ऐसा नहीं है कि हमको इंपोर्ट करना है, परंतु पहले से है, उसको मैनिफेस्ट भर करना है। इसीलिए कहा गया, कठोपनिषद में कहा, नित्यो नित्यानाम चेतनस चेतनानाम एको बहुनाम यो विदधाति कामान तम आत्मस्थम येनु पश्यन्ति धीरा तेषाम शांति शाश्वती नेतरेषाम। जो भीतर में जो परमात्मा है उसका दर्शन कर लेता है, उसको ही शाश्वत सुख और शाश्वत शांति मिलती है। तो हमको जो भी, हमको कहीं हिमालय में नहीं जाना है, जंगल में नहीं जाना है, जो भी काम करते हैं वो काम करना है, वो उस कार्य को पूजा में परिणत करना है। दैट्स ऑल। वी हैव टू चेंज द एटीट्यूड ऑफ माइंड। वर्क कैन बी कन्वर्टेड इनटू वर्शिप। योगा कर्म कौशलम। ये करते हुए, माइंड को कंट्रोल करते हुए, जो कुछ भी काम कर रहे हैं उसको ठीक से करते हुए हम यदि आगे बढ़ते हैं तो हमको दैनिक जीवन में सफलता मिलेगी, हमको साथ साथ में सुख और शांति भी मिलेगी। यदि हम ये चारों योग का समन्वय अपने जीवन में करते हैं, उसको प्रैक्टिस करते हैं, तो ये जो आत्महत्या कर रहे हैं वो क्यों कर रहे हैं? क्योंकि SQ वहां पर 0 है। SQ यदि 0 हो जाएगा तो आत्महत्या करने की बात आएगी। क्यों? उसको मालूम ही नहीं है जीवन का उद्देश्य क्या है। वाई आई एम लिविंग ऑन दिस अर्थ। उसको लगेगा मैं क्यों जीऊंगा। तो पर्पस यदि ये है कि हमारे भीतर में जो सच्चिदानंद स्वरूप जो परमात्मा, उसका दर्शन करना, उस आत्मा, उस दिव्यता को मैनिफेस्ट करना, ये हमारे जीवन का लक्ष्य यदि हमको पता लग गया, तो जब तक ये दिव्यता को हमने अभिव्यक्त नहीं किया है तब तक हमको आत्महत्या करने का अधिकार नहीं है। जिस व्यक्ति ने इस दिव्यता को प्राप्त कर लिया है, माने अभिव्यक्त कर लिया है, मैनिफेस्ट कर लिया है, बस उसके बाद फिर वो शरीर को रखे या छोड़े कोई मतलब नहीं, उससे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। परंतु जब तक कि दिव्यता का हमको मैनिफेस्ट नहीं हुआ, ये मनुष्य जीवन का जो उद्देश्य पूर्ण नहीं हुआ, तब तक यदि कोई इस शरीर को छोड़ देता है तो हमारे शास्त्रों में पाप माना जाता है, और ऐसा जो करता है उसको प्रेत योनि में जाना पड़ता है। प्रेत योनि में बहुत दुख पड़ता है। आदमी आत्महत्या क्यों करता है? दुख है इसलिए, और ज्यादा दुख में जाता है। इट इज ए रिवर्स जर्नी। और फिर बाद में प्रेत योनि में बहुत वर्षों तक रहने के बाद फिर वो जड़ योनि में जाता है, पशु की योनि जाता है। फिर बाद में जब उसका इस प्रकार का जो खराब कर्म उसने किया था, जानबूझ करके अपने पास जो एक गोल्डन अपॉर्चुनिटी थी, एक मनुष्य जन्म मिला था, उसको उसने गंवा दिया। ये पाप का प्रायश्चित जब हो गया, उसके बाद फिर उसको मनुष्य जीवन फिर से मिलेगी, फिर से वही साथ मिलेगी, फिर से वही अत्याचार होगा, फिर से यदि वो आत्महत्या करे तो फिर वही पूरा सर्किट होगा। इससे रिवर्स जर्नी। इसलिए क्या करना चाहिए? जो कुछ भी हमारे पास अभी जीवन में दुख है उसको सहन करना चाहिए। हमारे खुद के प्रारब्ध में जो कुछ है उसको बोल्डली फेस करना चाहिए, और भविष्य हमारा सुनहरा बने उसके लिए हमको अच्छे कर्म करने चाहिए। कर्म का सिद्धांत हमको मान लेना चाहिए। कर्म के सिद्धांत के अनुसार जो भी डिफिकल्टीज है उनको बोल्डली हमको फेस करना चाहिए, बहादुरी पर उसका सामना करना चाहिए और आगे बढ़ते रहना चाहिए, और भविष्य को उज्जवल करने के लिए, भविष्य को उज्जवल करना चाहिए, और मन में यह आत्मविश्वास रहना चाहिए, आई विल कॉन्कर द वर्ल्ड टुडे और टुमारो और डे आफ्टर। जरूर से मैं ये मेरे भीतर में जो द किंगडम ऑफ हेवन इज विद इन मी, उसको मैं अवश्य आई विल कॉन्कर दैट किंगडम ऑफ हेवन विच इज विद इन मी। ये भीतर में हमारा आत्मविश्वास होना चाहिए। ये यदि कोई रखता है, ये पॉजिटिव थिंकिंग होगा तो कभी नेगेटिव थिंकिंग नहीं आएगी। नेगेटिव थिंकिंग आएगी तभी आत्महत्या का इरादा आता है। तो द ओनली सोल्यूशन फॉर आत्महत्या का इरादा, ये आत्महत्या वगैरह जितने प्रॉब्लम का सोल्यूशन एक ही है, नेगेटिव थिंकिंग को दूर करो। नेगेटिव थिंकिंग को दूर करने का एकमात्र उपाय पॉजिटिव थिंकिंग करो, पॉजिटिव थिंकिंग करो। इफ यू गो टुवर्ड्स द ईस्ट, वेस्ट विल फॉल बिहाइंड। इसीलिए हम लोगों ने स्वामी विवेकानंद की 150वीं जन्म जयंती पर विवेकानंद सेंटर ऑफ पॉजिटिव थिंकिंग एंड काउंसलिंग लॉन्च किया था। डॉक्टर एपीजे अब्दुल कलाम ने उसको लॉन्च किया था बड़ौदा में 18 जनवरी 2012 को। विवेकानंद सेंटर ऑफ पॉजिटिव थिंकिंग एंड काउंसलिंग, ये आपकी इंस्टीट्यूशन में भी कर सकते हैं। इट इज वेरी इजी, नथिंग है उसमें। दो ही उसमें कॉन्सेप्ट है कि एवरी वीक यू हैव टू हैव रीडिंग ऑफ पॉजिटिव बुक्स, पॉजिटिव थॉट्स, उसके बेस में चर्चा करना, और काउंसलिंग। काउंसलिंग विल बी एट 2 लेवल्स। एक है ग्रुप काउंसलिंग, जिसमें एक साथ 2-3 महीने में एक बार ग्रुप काउंसलिंग होता है, और एक इंडिविजुअल काउंसलिंग, दैट इज फॉर द रेयर केसेस, मानो बहुत ज्यादा डिप्रेशन है तब, नहीं तो ग्रुप काउंसलिंग इज क्वाइट इनफ। तो ये दोनों प्रकार का काउंसलिंग मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट। ये सब, ये काउंसलिंग इज ओनली क्यूरेटरी प्रोसेस, और पॉजिटिव थिंकिंग इज ए प्रिवेंटिव मेथड। प्रिवेंशन इज बेटर देन क्योर। यदि पॉजिटिव थिंकिंग आ गया, यदि रेगुलरली हमने स्वामी विवेकानंद की किताब पढ़ना शुरू किया, उस पर डिस्कशन शुरू किया, या स्वामी विवेकानंद की किताब या कोई भी किताब हो जिसमें से पॉजिटिव थॉट्स मिलते हैं, तो अपने आप ऑटोमेटिकली ये नेगेटिव थिंकिंग चली जाएगी, और ये ऑटोमेटिकली ये सुसाइड का आइडिया चला जाएगा। दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। अर्जेंटली हम लोग को करना है, पॉजिटिव थिंकिंग करने का शुरू करना है। और आई विल रिक्वेस्ट द स्टूडेंट्स, बात क्या है मालूम है, हमारा माइंड इतना वीक हो गया है, इतना वीक हो गया है, इतना वीक हो गया है, छोटी सी समस्या आती है सुसाइड करते हैं। क्यों? मन एकदम दुर्बल निबल हो गया है। क्यों दुर्बल हो गया? क्यों? हमने उसको खाना ही नहीं दिया। गांधी जी कहते थे प्रार्थना मेरा खुराक है। अभी हम मॉडर्न यूथ को बोलते हैं प्रार्थना करो, मेरे को तो अभी सिनेमा देखना है, वो देखना है, मेरे इंटरनेट चैटिंग दोनों करना है, उस टाइम ही नहीं मेरे पास। ठीक है, प्रार्थना करने का टाइम नहीं है, ध्यान नहीं, मेरे पास टाइम नहीं है, मेरे पास टाइम नहीं है, इतनी सारी चैनल से ये करूं। ठीक है, तो 1-2 दिन 10 दिन तक भौतिक खाना, हम लोग एक भी दिन उपवास भी करते हैं तो फराड़ खाते हैं। वो फराड़ कब से, वो रेगुलर खाने से भी ज्यादा होता है। फराड़ खाते हैं, वो उपवास करते हैं। और ये उपवास कैसा होता है? निर्जला उपवास। मानसिक उपवास करते हैं, दिन के कितने दिन तक प्रार्थना 1 भी मिनट नहीं की, ध्यान 1 भी मिनट नहीं किया, अच्छी किताब 1 भी बार नहीं की, तो मन निर्बल होने वाला है। ऐसा निर्बल मन में छोटी सी भी समस्या आई, सुसाइड, सीधा सुसाइड। क्यों? मन इतना दुर्बल हो गया, बहुत दुर्बल हो गया है। मन को पहले सबल बनाना पड़ेगा। मन को सबल बनाने के लिए रोज खाना पड़ेगा। क्या है? मानसिक खुराक। क्या है मानसिक खुराक? प्रार्थना, ध्यान, अच्छी किताबें पढ़ना। ये रोज नहीं होगा, थोड़ा सा तो देना ही पड़ेगा, कैसे भी करके टाइम निकालना पड़ेगा, अदरवाइज यू आर गोइंग टू कमिट सुसाइड टुडे और टुमारो। ये मैं गारंटी करके देता हूं आपको, क्योंकि प्रॉब्लम आएगा, जरूर आएगा। जीवन का मतलब ही प्रॉब्लम, और इफ यू आर नॉट स्ट्रांग इनफ टू फेस दिस प्रॉब्लम, यू विल कमिट सुसाइड। अटेम्प्ट तो हो गई। So if the only solution is to make the mind strong, and the only way to make mind strong is positive thinking, and the only way of positive thinking is satsang, प्रार्थना, ध्यान और स्वाध्याय, अच्छी किताबें पढ़ना। अदरवाइज वी आर गोइंग टू बी बिग प्रॉब्लम। ये मॉडर्न यूथ को मैं हाथ जोड़ के कहता हूं, अभी से कहता हूं, प्रिवेंशन इज बेटर देन क्योर। तुम्हारा भी ये फिल्म एक्टर वगैरह जैसे सुसाइड करते हैं, यदि चाहते हो कि तुम भी ऐसी प्रकार के सुसाइड न करो, तो अभी से संभल जाओ, माइंड को स्ट्रांग करो, पॉजिटिव थिंकिंग करो, रोज कुछ ना कुछ थोड़ा सा अच्छा खुराक लो, थोड़ा सा तो कुछ अच्छी किताब पढ़ो, थोड़ा सा तो पढ़ो, 5 मिनट तो 5 मिनट, यू विल बी सेव्ड फ्रॉम ए ग्रेट डिजास्टर। ग्रेट डिजास्टर से बच जाओगे। थैंक यू।